Hey guys, thanks for having me, Axie. Good.
Your work.
Cool. Cool. My team's got it. My Twitter's got it. Viewers, follow me on Twitter, Ashy0x. Cool. I hope your Axie audience is not biased and just strictly Axie Maxis. But cool, yeah. Ashton here, Crypto Fight Club founder. I got into crypto back in 2015, started with Bitcoin ATMs. Did that for about 2 years, and then I moved over to full stack marketing for ICOs from 2017 to 2018. I did everything from business development, operations, and growth hacking for many different companies you may or may not have heard of. And then shortly after that, I dabbled into offshore banking for about 9 months, realized it really wasn't my particular line of business. And today, 2 years ago, I started my first marketing company, More Wolf, a marketing and PR company that focuses on building out digital identities for people rather than brands. And about I think this is also a nice little like month anniversary. On October 17th, we announced Crypto Fight Club, October 17th of last year. And we had a lot of big events happening, you know, the IDO and Polka Starter. And we had our big NFT launch on the 26th of December, and just constantly continuing to build out many different play to earn games instead of just one inside of the CFC metaverse.
Nice. Yeah. And just for the fans, sorry, I saw my mic wasn't working again. I did fix it. Just give me a heads up if you can't or can or can't hear it. I can see it's working right now, so it should be fine. And if you haven't yet, if you are unaware of Crypto Fight Club, make sure to go check out the video that I've posted yesterday on Crypto Fight Club. It is actually a link pinned in the chat. Check that out. Also, if you want to win one of 5 Crypto Fighters, what do you call them? Crypto Fighters? I call
NFT
Crypto Fight Club
fighters,
NFTs.
NFT avatars. You can call them whatever you want to call them. They are your friend in the metaverse.
Okay, awesome. If you want to win one of 5 of those, then make sure to drop a comment on that video, which is your favorite. I minted 5 for you guys to be able to win. I minted a Barbie, a Mr. Cold,
Right.
a Marvelous, Mexican Bee, and which was the last one? I'll have to go check again. But I minted those, and you have to tell me which one's your favorite and why, and then we can do it. I know I really liked Mr. Cold because I thought it looked like Chuck. How do you pronounce it? Chuck Liddell? Chuck Liddell? The Netherlands MMA fighter.
I think
right?
the UFC fighter, Chuck Liddell, is from what I know.
Liddell. But you told
Different
me
in
it's
many
not
parts
him,
of the
right?
world. No, none of our fighters are like based on real fighters.
Oh man, because I was looking through, I was like, this guy looks like Conor McGregor. I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. I thought this is like Chuck Liddell. I even thought not Barbie, but the other female one looks a lot like Ronda Rousey for me. Um,
Okay.
yeah, but they're very cool.
What we want to do is when we partner up with different fighters. For example, we have probably the best kickboxer in the world. His name is Superbon Banchamek, and he's a Muay Thai fighter based out of Bangkok, Thailand. And we got him probably towards the beginning of the Crypto Fight Club, and we want to make him as a Crypto Fight Club NFT avatar. probably coming into the next batch that people can have the chance to open and mint and be able to play with him. But people who we have partnered with and signed contracts with to where we can legally use their IP, then yes, we will definitely showcase real names. But in the meantime, being a startup that started 5 months ago, it was definitely not in the books. But we hope to pursue these partnerships in the future.
Awesome. So what you're telling me is that in the future we might see a from the boxing world maybe a Floyd Mayweather, and like from MMA we might be seeing Khabib. We might be seeing those guys if they sign like a partnership with you and they start promoting Crypto Fight Club as well. They could be real life in-game characters.
Yeah, definitely. As long as they don't want to charge us, 7 figures.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's very interesting partnerships, and the way that it's worked from the conversations we've had, and we've had some conversations with people that everybody knows. Um, a lot of their managers will request these, high 6, 7 figure deals. And we had a conversation with this one guy. His fighter came from a developing country, and he was like, this fighter doesn't even care about money. They've made so much in the past, and they want to focus on, falling into these large trends and getting more exposure for their businesses, and then also supporting people from their country. So in this case, this particular fighter wants to build gyms and co-brand with other companies to help build out these gyms to teach self-defense and work with different trainers around the world in order to help them, fight their own battles and be able to defend themselves.
Right. That's awesome. And that's one thing you guys are doing, right? And I saw this part of the roadmap you have as well. You are strategically trying to partner with actual gyms to also be included in this metaverse. And when I read that, in my mind, I was thinking, whoa, okay, does this mean like later in the future with the PvP version of the game or the fighting version of the game, will we be able to own gyms in that metaverse like land in Axie Infinity? Or what is the idea exactly there?
Yeah, with gyms that we partner with, and right now we have about 3. Um, with all these gyms, we want to gamify them, and obviously get their blueprint structure and model out the same exact model that they have with their gym and put them inside the metaverse. So if you're familiar with the Ring in Singapore, it's the second largest fighting gym in the country. Then if you've trained there before, you can go in there and see the Crypto Fight Club metaverse version, and it is ultimately a one of one. You can see the same exact aspects and details that you would see if you visited the real life gym. These gyms will be converted into NFTs where somebody could own and they could monitor in many different ways, whether it's, like having trivia nights via the screens that are showcased in a gym. You can run internal, like closed tournaments. You can have your own co-branded gear that people can buy and sell throughout the entire marketplace. And then you can also advertise. Like if I had a gym and I partnered up with you, Axie, and you were like, hey, I want to have like a sponsorship in your gym. I could put your logos all the way around, like the gym ring or portions of the floor or something back. And everything is entirely customized and with its own unique little 3 voxel touches.
Okay, that's insane. Okay, that's really, really cool. And with that, where do the wearables come in? Because I saw wearables on the roadmap as well. And I know we're diving deep into stuff I saw on the roadmap and where you're going. And I know we actually want to have a whole discussion on something else, but I'm just too excited. I can't help it. The wearables, where do they come in and how are they going to work?
So the wearables will be based off of the BEP 1155 standard. It's one of the 3 token standards on most major blockchains, primarily segregated from Ethereum. If you use Polygon, you're still using the ERC standard. But in this case, we're using Binance Smart Chain. And the wearables will act as different equipables that enhance your stats, or they could be skins that are mainly used as cosmetic. So each fighter will be able to wear 6 different wearables, whether it is, headgear, hat, gloves, lower torso pieces like shorts, pants, and guards, let's say feet, if it's, boxing shoes or foot wraps. And then there's also an internal function. So what is showcased inside of the white paper underneath the BEP 1155 wearables, you can see that there is a wearable called Heart of a Lion. And this is a non-visual representation of another wearable that is a benefit to your stats. So Heart of a Lion, for example, increases your defense. And then, you could have another one that has some cool name that can enhance either your attack or your technique as well. And then there's one more, and this slot is actually really cool. It's a trainer card slot. So say when we partner up with these gyms around the world, each gym typically has, a head trainer. And with these head trainers, you will be able to equip them to your fighter, and based on their real life, like, based on their real life statistics on how they train fighters, whether they're like an aggressive fighter to where, if they just continually beat up their fighters, then they build up that endurance. And so in this case, this trainer would benefit your defense. Same thing with, technique, if they're a very technical fighter and attack. And these these trainer cards can be obtained if you fight an NPC fighter inside of a select gym and win. And if you beat them, you then obtain that card and you can implement them
Use them
onto
to
your
train
character.
your fighters, right?
Yeah,
And
like
then,
they'll just give like a stat in hand.
right, and is the idea that there will be a marketplace as well where once, suppose I don't have any use for the trainer, where I can sell that to someone else who might need it?
Absolutely.
Okay, because I've saw so
Yeah.
far the crypto fighters or the Crypto Fight Club NFTs, they are on a few marketplaces, but you guys are trying to design your own marketplace at the end of the day as well, right?
Yeah, I haven't mentioned much about it just because it's a ways down the road. When we first talked about lending and the whole like borrowing aspect of being able to rent out NFTs to other people, we were convinced that we needed a marketplace to do that. But once we realized we didn't, we decided to make that option a higher priority before the marketplace. Uh, and inside the metaverse itself, you'll be able to find a marketplace where you can, buy and sell different wearables, NFT fighters, etc. But right now, only the fighters are available on a few secondary markets. And I mean, it's a great place to buy them. One of our community members, he paid less for the amount to mint an NFT fighter. And when he purchased this NFT fighter, there was fight tokens already staked inside worth about $200.
What?
So I think he paid like $35 or $40 for this fighter off of Tofu NFT. And then inside that fighter happened to have an active stake with about, I think it was like 8,000 or 10,000 fight tokens in it.
Oh
It was like a total
man.
come up.
Oh man, that is so lucky. And actually talking about the Crypto Fight Club, I just quickly want to look here. It seems like the price is doing really well again after, about I think it was last week or so. The markets in general had a bit of a crash, but you guys are spiking and going up very nicely. I think, what's this? Almost 100% in the past 7 days, close to, right?
Nice.
Yeah,
I haven't looked at it too much, but that's awesome.
yeah, it's at 0.031 almost, and it was at about 0.15. Less than 7 days ago. So almost 100% gain. That's awesome, and I think a lot of that also has to do with the DeFi component that is with this game, right? When I did my video, I explained it as GameFi, right? It's crypto game meets DeFi, which really gives it a lot more confidence than some of the play to earn games one sees popping off these days, where the mechanism is all about the earn, and you can see it's going to follow a trend like other games we've seen in the market so far, where the price gets pumped a lot, and then it just dumps and it's deflationary all the way. But because of the way you guys have designed your staking mechanism and the DeFi, just by the way, if you're not 100% aware of what I'm talking about, go check out my video. It's linked in the chat here. But because of how you guys designed that, I feel like you guys are more resilient to those kind of pump and dump cycles we see in play to earn games. Was that by design? Was that the idea? Or why did you guys decide to go this route of DeFi meets gaming?
So my personal interest in crypto definitely lies in decentralized finance. over 2021, we saw so many rug pulls, exploits in code, hacks with centralized exchanges, yield aggregators, and all of these different DeFi companies, well, centralized exchanges, but they offered, staking protocols that are typically originated from DeFi. So what we found, or at least the last year and a half, 2 years ago, was a company that focused solely on bringing true DeFi to the space, because there's a lot of these DeFi companies that are typically actually centralized in one way or another. And what they do is they allocate a certain pool of tokens, and when people stake, they just pay them from this fixed pool of tokens. What a lot of people don't really know is that yields and interest in traditional finance, and it should be in crypto, is that these yields are paid out from inflation. And what a lot of companies also do, if they have inflation that is mimicked, whether it's an over excessive play to earn or it's somehow able to be saturated one way or another, if you have an overinflated currency, then the value of it obviously goes down. We've seen this with so many fiat currencies as well. So what Crypto Fight Club designed, it was inspired by, from the screen, Hex. Hex is a blockchain certificate of deposit, and ultimately it rewards you based on your time in the market and not timing the market. You're rewarded based on delayed gratification. And that's how traditional investments work. In crypto, of course, things pump super high at the beginning and you can make a 10, 20, 100x gain in a week's time, a month's time. But, those don't last. You've seen those giant pumps and then they just crash imminently once people start to pull out, especially with a lot of these bad actors in the space, whether they're influencers, launch pads, exchanges, VCs. They get in early to these things, and once they see a big pump and they've got a nice vesting schedule, they'll dump on everybody else, and then now they use these other people as exit
Yeah.
much.
They let others hold the bag for them, right? That's basically the idea. For someone to win that much, someone must lose, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But not every loser has to come from a winner in this case. Like, anybody can be a winner if you play the market properly. You should never try to time it. And, a lot of people get different misconceptions of luck, but luck is simply opportunity and time.
Yeah.
So the way that we design the tokenomics, we've got a very simple burning mechanism and a very simple minting mechanism. So in order to stake fight, you have to burn 2,000 fight in the process. And right now there is a fixed, but it is not limited supply NFT fighters, and it costs 2,000 fight to mint one of these NFTs. So if you do 2,000 fight times 5,000 fighters, that's equivalent to about 10 million fight, which is equivalent to the fixed annual inflation paid out only to stakers every single year. So when you stake fight tokens or the LP version of fight, you are then paid out in one of the two pools of the 1% inflation. If you stake native fight tokens, you are paid out and own rewards from 20%, 2 million tokens of the inflation, staking native fight. And if you stake LP fight, you are incentivized, to provide liquidity and earn higher yields on your fight tokens. So you are then participating in the remaining 8 million tokens of the 1% inflation. And there's a lot of cool little bells and whistles inside, like if you stake a minimum of 600 LP of fight for the course of a year, then your fighter that you've staked in will evolve 20% in stats, and you'll also get a 20% bonus in your APY. And if you stake a minimum of 5,000 fight, then you will receive that same 20% bonus, and your fighters will grow 20% in statistical value. Your attack, defense, and technique will all grow. And during the end of your staking period, whenever you end, new tokens are minted and they are sent to you. And it is simply Bitcoin with a proof of weight, WAIT function. Stakers are rewarded based on delayed gratification, and we gamified it a bit to where whenever, combat modes come out or whenever different game modes that utilize these different attributes of your mode, you're ahead of the game ultimately. If you staked what did you stake? Mr. Cold?
No,
what was his name?
No, I staked Dipso. I went Muay Thai. If you saw my video, it though, which was nothing to do with
the fighters. One of the fighters you minted, you mentioned that it looked like Chuck Liddell.
Mr. Cold, yeah.
Mr. Cold. So he is a very common fighter. He's like a 1 of 25. So typically that means he doesn't have the best stats. You know, your Dipso has much better stats than your Mr. Cold. So even if you were to stake for a year with your Mr. Cold and you successfully stake, your fighter grows the 20% in stats, he could easily dominate any other fighter from any rarity, given if they haven't staked for that year. And you know, it's the competition is tight. There's a lot of people staking. I think it's 60% of NFTs are staking right now.
That's crazy.
I don't know if the average stake is for these 60% is not 1 year,
That's crazy.
but it's not far off.
But that's fantastic news for anyone looking to join, right? Because that means that 60% of everyone that actually buys one of these NFTs believe in it long term, at least, because they're willing to stake for a year. Like, well, I can say this, I did this myself, right? I also went and staked mine for a year because um, I love how you guys did this. You took kind of like the proven concept of Hex and how Hex did well, right? And said, okay, we want to try and do a similar model with a proof of weight, as you said, but we'll incentivize the bit further, right? By letting your NFTs actually go up in value and increase stats, and you don't just have to hold the bag. Here's a game you can play while doing it and actually earn some more as well. I mean, it almost sounds like just the best of both worlds from the DeFi world and gaming meets, right?
Yeah, definitely. And you know, within the last couple of years, you know, Richard Hart, the guy who founded Hex, and even the Hex token itself, has received endless amounts of flack and criticism. But now people are starting to turn back around and realize that this is, you know, superior decentralized tech. This is nothing that's going to run out. If he dies, the code is still running. It is 24/7. The only way that it will go down is if the entire Ethereum network goes down. And he's trying to solve that by, you know, building out Pulse Chain, even though Ethereum and, you know, the Bitcoin network will typically never go down.
Yeah.
So it's entirely decentralized and autonomous in a way. Anybody that participates will always share a stake in these different pools. And we're constantly coming up with new ideas for stakers to be incentivized to play the game as well. One idea that came about today was if you stake for, you know, 2 weeks or 1 month, then your NFT fighter is entitled to one extra round of playing. Because right now, if you play a game, you can only play 10 times or 10 rounds per day with that NFT. But if you stake for 2 weeks, maybe you get an additional round after concluding that. And that's a permanent 11 rounds that you can play with that NFT and try to rank higher in the leaderboards.
Yeah. No,
And that
that's
would
insane.
size a lot of people up.
Yeah. No, I can think. Talking about the game and the game modes, actually. Um, so currently, the version of the game that's live is the chicken run, and if you don't mind, actually, I would love to maybe play one chicken run game and give the folks on stream an idea of what we currently do. If you don't mind, I think I'm gonna go into that. I'm gonna try and play a bit. And while I'm playing, you can you can try and help me if you can. Try and give me some tips because and I'll tell everyone here. I said it on one of your Twitter Spaces the other day. I was playing this game. The first time I played it, I could only manage to catch roughly 25 chickens on average, I think. But I actually got better at the game. I actually started learning how to find the best spaces on the maps, etc., to get these chickens. So I improved a lot myself. But maybe, actually, you have some more tips for me. Sorry, it seems like my wallet is not the correct one connected. There we go.
Yeah, probably not. I'm not going to be able to tell you where the, you know, most amount of chickens spawn, because it is randomized per map. Each map has its own separate layout, and there is never like you can never spawn trap chickens at this point. They're just distributed all across the map. But this is a great example of, you know, skill-based gaming, right?
Yeah.
Chicken Run is such a simple game. It is literally, you know, WASD running around chasing chickens. The more you catch, the more you earn. And as you're playing this game, you just get better because then you understand the map a little bit. And this goes with not only any game, this goes with anything in life. If you train Muay Thai, for example, then you know at the very beginning you're going to be dog water. But the more you train and the more you fight, then the better you will ultimately get at it.
Okay.
Same with gaming.
Yeah.
Call of Duty is a great example too. Like once you understand the map and how to use, you know, different weapons, then and the more you play, the better you get at
Did
it.
it. And sorry to interrupt it, but this is also something I need to mention. You can play. You have no limit on how many NFTs you can hold, and you can play 10 times a day with each and every one of the NFTs. So as you can see, I still have all my NFTs that I'm giving away, except for Dipso, which is my main NFT. Um, but I could play with each one of them if I wanted, right? So if you want to sit and play, you told me something about someone who was playing for like something crazy, like he had 10 of them and he was playing with 10 of those a day.
Yeah, the the guy that won the no, I'm sorry, it wasn't the last batch. It was when we were paying out daily rewards. We tracked the wallet address down because again, you can play 10 times per NFT. And then so obviously with awesome blockchain technology and you can see what wallet owns each asset. So like this guy won I think first place, third place, and fourth, and you could see that every day that he was playing for like 10 days straight he was constantly aiming to get first. And so we kind of calculated the hours because each round is 2 minutes, and if you play 10 times that's 20 minutes out of your day. And at the end he ended up playing like 3 hours and minutes
What?
over the course, like every 2 days. This is the average time that a regular person plays any kind of like AAA game, unless they're a streamer of some sort.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
yeah,
that's
people
how
are
long I
playing
played Axie some
unreal
days,
amounts.
you know? So that's about how much time I spent on Axie. So yeah, it's
When
not
I
too
when I first
ridiculous.
started scholarships, when I
Yeah.
first started scholarships, my boys had obviously low MMR, and they were playing for I don't know, it probably took like 2 hours, 2.5 hours to go through the 20 energy that they had,
Exactly.
and the return that they received was like at the price of 2 cents was like 8 cents.
Yeah. At the price
So
of
they
two
we had to
cents.
split that 50-50, and he got like 10 cents for playing 2.5, 3 hours maybe.
Yeah, this is at the moment. I did the math on my video. At the moment, this is close to 20 minutes a day will give you $15 a week, roughly. If you do that.
We did the math. There's a video on our Twitter exactly 1 week ago today, and it explained the leaderboard of how many people ended up winning based on the amount of times they played, the amount of chickens that they caught, and the average NFT that won in top 10 got around 800 fight tokens, and at the time of the payouts, it was um, and that's if you played 20 minutes a day with one NFT and ranked up to the very top. So it was a 10-day period, so it was 200 minutes, which is equivalent to like 3 hours, 20. They ended up making 20
Make it
bucks,
$20.
3 hours. That's
So
like it was equivalent to like seven.
So tell me again, you said there's leaderboards, right? And every week that leaderboard resets. And the idea is you want to get on the top 15 or the top 10 of most chickens caught for that week. What extra bonus rewards do you get for being on the leaderboard?
That's a good question. So at the end of each season, we changed it up a little bit. So what we were doing is having about 2 weeks was one season, and then we would introduce a little mini metaverse environment. Like right now, you're at the Thai jungle, before you were in the city, and each chicken that you catch per different environment looks different. So the one in the city, if you saw, were wearing face masks.
Yeah,
The one in the
COVID
Thai
masks.
jungles, they're not wearing anything.
Yeah.
You go to Japan, they're wearing hats. So what we were offering was after every season, which would be 2 weeks, you would receive a little chicken NFT, which is later redeemable whenever the metaverse and combat modes come out, where you redeem the chicken for different things. Maybe it's fight tokens, maybe it's wearables that increase your stats. That part hasn't been 100 out of, but different chickens may result to different rewards, different redeemables. And so right now, we still offer the same thing, but it's not on a weekly basis. So a season right now is every week, and it ends at Wednesdays, 12 p.m. UTC when the leaderboard resets. And we're still, after every 2 weeks, depending on the top 10 who have performed over the period of 2 weeks, they will receive a little novelty chicken NFT to represent Chicken Run, and they'll be able to redeem it later on in time for something special.
That's really cool. And well, I mean, it's just good news for a lot of the people also watching on today's stream. If you want to win one of these NFTs, you can start earning immediately, right? You can start earning your fight immediately, which is great. I mean, a lot of projects are still waiting for their games to come out. And that's why I like the approach you guys took. This Chicken Run, if you watched my video, for those who are live, you'll see that it's actually based on a training technique specifically used for Muay Thai fighters, where they have to catch chickens, and it kind of like develops agility, concentration, cardio, all of the above to catch these chickens. And that's what this game is based on, right?
Absolutely. I learned after we released it, maybe a month or just a couple weeks after, that I think the original Rocky or Rocky 2 movie, Sylvester Stallone is chasing a chicken in it. And I'm like,
what?
Yeah. And I was like, oh, well, this makes sense. This must be where a lot of people think the inspiration came from. But no, it's like in local environments in northern and even southern Thailand, they go into a closed field, and the farm owner or even the trainers, they get a bunch of chickens and they just release them. And it's, say if you have 5 fighters chasing 100 chickens, whoever catches the most and brings them back in their cage, they get a bottle of water or something ridiculous. But they are rewarded based on how many chickens they catch. So that was the inspiration behind the game.
Nice. And which comes to the second game, right? There's another game, the next mini game coming up is called Attack the Bear, Kill the Bear, Fight the Bear, Fight the Bear.
Fight the Bear.
Nailed it. Third time lucky. So it's called Fight the Bear, and can you maybe give us a little sneak peek? Give us some, paint us a word picture of what's gonna happen with Fight the Bear.
So the timing couldn't be better. I know a lot of people are still bullish, but bad news. We're at the end of that 4-year cycle, and Bitcoin will probably never make all-time highs. Everything just seems to be going into the gutter. And as we go into crypto winter, you will be able to immerse yourself into the winterlands of the mountains and fight 3D voxel bears.
Nice.
And this is the first addition to what everybody has been asking in the CFC community, is like, whether it's when PvP or when fighting game.
Exactly.
So this is going to be the first addition to combat. And when you go in, you start free roam like you're in Chicken Run, and then you approach a cave. And as you get into the cave, you see a bear in the distance, and that's going to be your opponent. And once you kill the bear, you're able to move forward and fight the next bear. And the game is designed similar to, like this roguelike style, where you will earn and you will progress based on how many bears that you defeat.
Right.
And there is never, a fixed amount of bears, but there will be time limits per environment that you get to. And the bear will progressively get harder with the further that you move along. So if you get to, like, let's say the 8th or 9th bear, it could be damn near impossible to fight and kill this bear. So you will have this introduction to the combat that CFC will introduce in later modes for PvP. We've got a really cool PvP function coming leading up to the metaverse drop as well. It'll probably be the 3rd mini game, and I think a lot of people will be excited because they'll also notice with each different fighter that they all have different animations, and this is one of the things that a lot of people haven't really noticed, is that these 100 fighters all have different custom animations, and you'll be able to showcase each and every one of them if you have different fighters. So it's cool, it's fun, and it just gives you guys more of a visual interpretation and respect for the fighters that have been created.
which is awesome, right? And that's what's gonna start making it really cool. Is having your own fighters, having those items that you can start putting on them. What kind of gloves they wear or headgear. I saw that coming out as well. I mean, people love being able to customize their NFT, their fighters, or their assets, digital assets, especially when playing games. But I'm just really excited for the fighting stuff. I mean, the first time I saw the chicken concept, I was like, it just didn't connect for me, right? But after learning, okay, it's like kind of like training. Okay, cool, makes sense, it's cool. But the fighting game, right? That's where it's at, right? And I can understand why the community is like win fight, win PvP. And
It's
hearing
in
that
the
it's
name too.
roguelike is really excited. I have a question on that. So after beating a bear, do I also get like a little upgrade? Be it faster punches or something like that? Or how will that work?
That is a good question. Maybe. Or also, you know how you have the upgrades around Chicken Run, whether it's the magic mushrooms or the sewer gas coming from the streets?
Yeah, that.
You'll also be able to find these different little upgrades that make you faster or make you, give you an attack buff. And you might as well grab one of those before you actually go into fighting the bear. And they will be temporary buffs. They're not going to last throughout the entire battle, just like they don't last throughout the duration of Chicken Run. So in this case, you'll be able to have buffs that you find around the map fighting the bear. But in terms of killing the bear right now, that is good feedback. I'll relay that to the game design team and see what they have to say about it.
Yeah, because people love
Good
roguelike
idea.
games, right? Especially if it becomes, you know, you get like skill trees. You can either increase your fighter's speed. Well, why not take the three stats they already have, right? Attack, speed, and technique. No, attack, defense, and technique.
Attack, defense,
Um,
and technique.
and if they can upgrade it, and sometimes you have to upgrade in certain ways. I don't know. It's going to make the game design much more complicated, though, probably. So I think sometimes, it's rather get the game out, give us something else to play, and do that for like the main game, right? And for the PvP and the tournaments coming. Can you tell us more about the tournaments? Because player versus player will be live. What is your vision for how tournaments will work?
Tournaments will be introduced for any game mode that we have.
Okay.
So, as you guys see, Fight the Bear is coming this month according to the roadmap. If everything goes all well, we have plans to release it. And what we want to do to kind of start this off is offer a chicken run tournament. And it will be nothing different. We'll just have, a couple extra days for people to really grind out and try to catch as many chickens as they can. And then there will be a larger pool of fight tokens allocated to the top 10 winners. The remaining winners, they will earn, the same payouts as they do every single week, but know that the top 10 fighters will earn an extra bonus. And maybe they'll get an exclusive NFT trophy as well that can either be worn in the future or redeemed for something else in the future. And we're going to have the same exact concept for every mini game that comes out, and especially fighting, for sure. Guilds are going to love the tournament modes. GVG, alliance battles, like they'll be all over it.
Oof, okay, but so I don't know if you know, but I have a guild. Definitely not as big as the YGGs in the world, but we are called the Lunar Knights, and I'm 100% gonna be there. Our Lunar Knights are gonna be battling. What would be insanely cool, especially in the fight stuff, is like in the actual tournament, the actual like MMA fights. Well, I'm sure you'll know, but in the actual MMA fights, when they can carry their sponsor's banner and put it on the cage, for example, at the start of the match.
Yeah.
If in game, if a guild can upload their like logo, and when a match starts, your logo sits behind you, that would be sick.
Absolutely. Like I mentioned earlier, you will be able to brand different banners. And for, company, crypto fighting championships, people will be able to partake in different sponsorships and advertising options. Cool thing about your guild, man, because you know about Crypto Fight Club probably before anybody in, YGG or Avocado Guild. A cool little function is, if you have a set of fighters or your, scholars underneath you have fighters and you guys stake them for a year, you already have an upper hand to where if you were to go guild to guild against somebody like YGG,
Ooh,
you could
yes.
stomp them and then you'd be able to just build this crazy reputation and ultimately great marketing for your guild.
That's actually a really really good point. Okay, sorry everyone, I'm keeping all the giveaway NFTs. They're all going to my guild. No, I'm kidding. But That is actually a really really good point. We can just like stake and be the top guild, and I love the idea of bringing in sponsors, right? Because now you can have I don't know, Pancake Swap as a sponsor, right? And they can run the tournament. They basically will give the purse for the tournament, right? Like a boxing match. They'll say they'll put up ten thousand
Yeah,
dollars.
like money coming from the sponsorships, portions of it will be allocated towards the tournaments, and we'll also have like entry tickets. So for these crypto fighting championships, whether you're a spectator and you want to sponsor a team, or if you just want to participate in the tournament, guilds will have to bring in a, you know, pick, say, their five best NFT fighters or their five best gamers, and you'll have to pay an entry fee for each one of them to participate in the tournament and
Yeah,
ultimately
man.
fight for the prize pool.
Well, that's like competitive fighting real life ecosystem that you're just taking digital into the Web3 environment. That's insane, man. That's I love it. I love it. That's so cool.
Good esports, man. I mean, esports
Yeah.
is one of the largest growing, industries in the world right now, especially like outside of crypto. And crypto just amplifies it with the play to earn aspect. But I don't know. Maybe you do. I haven't seen many games host these tournaments. And if they do, it's awesome. I think Cyball mentioned something that they will do tournaments.
Yeah, Cyber. I mean,
Because they're revolving around like an actual sport, right?
yeah,
Football.
yeah.
Um, but I am these tournaments are great opportunities for more exposure and then also just earning more rewards.
Exactly. Well, but there's a big difference, right? And I have this. I'm gonna take a long road here, right? But to answer your question, Axie Infinity does do it. For example, they put up a purse of their own
So,
AXS to facilitate esports. You know, people apply and then they'll give you like 100 AXS or whatever to run a tournament to try and develop the esports scene, which is cool, right? But something like Axie Infinity, the difference being that um, I use this example for Dota and Counter Strike, right, or CS:GO, in the esports world. Those are probably two of the biggest esports games being played. But if you look at Dota, Dota naturally has a disadvantage because it is very intensive. Only people who play Dota understand what is happening in Dota. So you won't get spectators watching Dota and saying, "Oh, that's cool," and keep on watching because 95% of the time they have no clue what is actually happening in the game. Where with something like CS:GO, this concept is very simple. You try and shoot other people. Yes, there's maps. Yes, there's bombs. Yes, there's all kinds of strategies and tactics. But the concept for spectators is quite simple. And I think in this universe, in the esports universe for, let's say, Web3 games or NFT games, you guys have that similar thing, right? Fighting games, the concept is going to be quite easy to understand. Boxer A or Fighter A is going to try and kill Fighter B or destroy Fighter B. Where with Axie, yet again, to really be able to enjoy it as a spectator, you have to know what the abilities do. You have to know how the game works. It's much more difficult to just grab on and like it.
yeah, the common concept between spectating is like you already have a common understanding of that game or that sport, and if it's something as simple as fighting, you're like, hey, I want that person to win, and if all that person has to do is knock them out, it seems like a pretty simple concept, and it's something that everybody can grasp.
Exactly.
Whether actually, you're right, it is a bit complicated. I wouldn't pay to watch an Axie tournament because I don't understand the full concept of it, simply because there's so many different attribute cards that you can use to play the game, and with
Exactly.
fighting it makes it so much easier.
It's
If I
easier.
like the look of this fighter, I want him to beat the
Yeah,
other fighter.
exactly. And I mean, the nice thing is it's going to be so easy for you also to, if you start when you start growing, not if I actually believe when you guys start growing is to set up celebrity matches even, because to teach those guys to play the game shouldn't be that hard, right? And then you can easily say, hey, okay, Manny, the Pac-Man is coming back out of retirement to take on Floyd and get revenge, but this time in Crypto Fight Club world.
There's man, I really wish I could have taken advantage of this, but when I first announced Crypto Fight Club, there was an event happening in Dubai, and there was four crypto Twitter shitcoiners that were that they were fighting for charity.
Yeah.
And the two that I know off the top of my head is Rookie XBT versus Loom Dart. And these are great opportunities for exposure because, with these guys fighting, they don't know how to fight. Like, they're amateur boxers, if that. And but they were fighting for entertainment, and so many people watched. They raised a bunch of money for charity, and it was just a great concept overall. And I want to continue doing the same exact thing. Like, if we onboard, let's say, one of the Paul brothers, and
Yeah.
because they're great entertainers and they bring a lot of money to pay-per-view fighting,
And they're in the crypto space,
what
by
if
the way.
we got,
And they're in the crypto
and they're in the
space.
crypto space,
Yeah.
they're relevant.
Yeah.
And then what if we got, one of our sponsored fighters like Superbon to go in and size up with them head to head. And then that way, people would then aspire to try to open up a Paul Brother NFT fighter or a Superbon NFT fighter, and then reenact that same thing in a different gym or in a tournament. Um, yeah, like people love doing that shit.
Sick.
So
Yeah.
it, like just reenacting things in video games with famous people. But of course, with that kind of business development and game development, it does take time. But it's definitely in the pipeline because we want to obviously grow our exposure to the fighting world and integrate these different celebrities because they're all getting into crypto one way or another, and this is a great entry point for them.
Exactly. And everyone loves a good fight, right? And everyone loves a little grudge match. It's what gets the story
Yeah.
going. It's what gets people excited. So, yeah, looking forward to that. Ashwin, is there anything else you want us to touch on today? Anything else you want to give us a little leak maybe on what is releasing next? I know there's the lending platform as well that we haven't spoken about yet. Maybe you can tell us what the lending platform is all about.
Yeah, we could totally conclude it with that. I'm really glad you brought that up because I kind of forgot about it.
Nice.
So this is something that hasn't been built out yet, but it is now the highest priority of developments in the crypto side of Crypto Fight Club. So with game development, obviously, focusing on Fight the Bear and metaverse development, but on the crypto side of things, we're focused on building the ultimate borrowing and lending platform, similar to Axie scholarships or Peg Axie scholarships and whatnot. But we want to have it very similar to how we design the staking and give people the freedom of choice. So building out this different form of accessibility, say if I am a renter and I have a fleet of these NFT fighters, then I have the option to rent in, and if I have a guild, I have the option to set my NFTs to the open public and with say a rate of 70-30, I get 70, you get 30, or 50-50. The options are entirely customizable and anybody can come in and rent those. Or if I want to close it off to my guild members only, then I can just have these 50, 100 fighters and just give them to them, and we do an even split 50-50, or I get 30, they get 70 because they're the ones putting in the work in this case. So offering the flexibility between the reward split, you can base it 1090,
Yeah.
1486, like anything is possible. You're able to set the duration on all of your scholarship or your lendings. So if I want to lend somebody, or the fleet of my NFTs to the open public, I can choose each NFT that I want to lend for 1 day, 15 days, 30 days, 6 months, and all of it's up for grabs. And there'll be a couple little features in there, if I lend you my NFT fighter for 30 days, but you don't play with it for 7 days, I, as the lender, can take it from you as the borrower and be able to rent it to somebody else.
Cool.
So we covered duration, reward splits. Everything is done via the smart contract. There's just this really heavy human layer that, you know, games like Axie, and I know
Yeah.
I'm talking to an Axie audience here. There's this heavy human layer that is required, where instead we want to automate the lending and borrowing process through smart contracts. So you're on the marketplace, you can do handshake deals with somebody that is lending, whether it's a guild owner or just if Axie explained that is obviously offering these NFTs up for grabs. You reach out to them, be like, hey, I love Chicken Run and I want to play for you, so let's make out a deal. um Alternatively, anybody is able to participate in the renting. You can set fees. If you open it up to the public, say there's a fee in fight tokens that you have to pay in order to rent them. And you can obviously alleviate that fee to anybody. Especially that's what guild owners would probably do to their members, is not charge them a fixed fee.
Yeah.
So that's entirely customizable. I don't believe I'm missing anything else, but overall, that's what it is. Oh, one more thing. So I mentioned trophies and these NFTs that you can redeem in the future, like the chickens from Chicken Run. There'll be a little toggle switch where if you're if you're the borrower of an NFT and you make a deal with the lender, then you have the opportunity to take the wearables or that novelty NFT if the lender allows it. So if you're playing during the end of, say, that new environment change or that new season that is rewarding the top 10 on the leaderboard and you happen to be there, if before the lending process has taken place and that agreement has been made, you can actually, communicate with the lender and be like, yo, well, I want to actually take this NFT if I win it. And, you don't get to keep it when you get your NFT back. So there's that really cool option. Again, everything is totally customizable. Everybody has the freedom of choice, just like they do with the staking duration amounts and so on. And it's gonna be competitive. There was another cool idea. I don't know if I want to spill it yet because it's not confirmed, and I don't want to just be, shooting in the dark here. So
Okay,
I'm gonna keep this idea to myself. And once it's confirmed, you'll be able to see it in the white paper in the coming, week or week and a half.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Okay. Well, but I have actually a question on this. So far, there's only a max of 5,000 mintable fighters at the moment, right? I just want to check quickly how far are we on that again. How many have been minted? Let's see. Out of the 5,000, I can share the screen here so that everyone can see. Screen 2. So far, more than half have been minted. 2,750 have been minted. What happens when the 5,000 are done, minted? Are you guys going to create more? Because the way you're talking about it with this lending platform, right? That's a massive growth mechanism, as we see with Pegasus. With Axie as well, but Axie didn't have the platform. With Pegasus, they had the platform, and the growth was insane, right? So, how is the plan to, just increase the amount of NFTs that are mintable, or how are you guys going to cope with the demand that should be coming with this growth platform?
I think it'll really just depend on the demand. We'll be able to track the numbers of the amount minted within X amount of times passed. So first off, whenever 5,000 NFTs are minted, 10 million fight has successfully been burned, sent to the burn address on BSC scan, and that will pretty much it'll match the same amount of the 1% inflation that is paid out to the stakers.
Yeah.
So ultimately, it really depends on demand. The next batch of NFTs does not have a hard date on it. We'll let everybody know once the first 5,000 are minted, but it really depends on demand. And we also don't want to oversaturate the market. We've seen this done in other games to where a lot of these NFTs have just devalued because they've been saturated from breeding, or they lost their statistical advantage because of a new season. Each NFT fighter that is created, they all have their own advantages, and their stats will never be decreased, and they'll all be extremely competitive. So in this case, we don't want to saturate the market, and we want to play it by ear with demand. And, say if there was in a unique future where there is 100,000 active NFT gamers playing Crypto Fight Club, that is glorious. And then everybody that plays the game will have a chance to win tournaments, win rewards, and win based off of skill and time played.
Yeah.
So it's really just playing the market by ear, and also just coming up with different campaigns and partnering up with different fighters. One day we would want to have 5,000 famous fighters and mint a whole series just based off of these guys. But it's ever growing, and it'll always be expanding. Like when you're in the process of designing a metaverse and building a world, anything is possible.
Right.
And you have multiple minds coming together where you're like, oh, well, we could do this and we can build that. And then everything, as long as it's relatable to the NFTs, again, it just really depends on the demand. And renting is totally going to spur the entire NFT movement
Oh,
for
it's gonna
Crypto
be
Fight Club.
massive. Oh, it's gonna be massive. And as we were sitting here, someone minted one, so that's great. Hopefully, that was someone from stream.
Nice.
um, but yeah, okay. So if and you hit a really important point for people to know there, right? So the actual APY is paid. That 1% is paid from the burned, or it matches the amount of fight token that is burned, right? Or how did you explain this?
That was just a matching mechanism. So within the first batch, we wanted to be able to mint the same amount of tokens that are burned every year.
Okay.
Now, we would obviously, and so would everybody else, would like to see more tokens burned, because when you create value of something and you give it a scarce supply, what happens to it typically? You know, what did, De Beers diamonds, for example?
Yeah.
They mined a shiny, beautiful rock out of the ground, and they market it out as the girl's best friend. And who holds the majority supply of these diamonds? It's De Beers.
Yeah.
And with having the same amount of the burn as well as minted, or even burning even more and controlling the supply in that regard, it's going to attract a lot of people, whether they're traders, stakers, and then even gamers. We obviously won't burn the supply to where it's non-existent anymore. I don't even think that's humanly possible unless somehow we have the Nick Mercs and the I'm a Fresh Asian, the streamers minting and running scholarships for everybody.
Yeah.
Like, even if all of these pro streamers, ninjas, even if they were minting and having scholarships or the guilds, like, you could never burn the entire supply of fight. That's just ridiculous. But one day there will probably be a fixed supply depending on the demand. But in the meantime, it will just continue to grow, and we'll try to make sure that it is never saturated, because we have the power to control that supply of these NFTs.
Okay, well, that is really good news for any investor basically looking to come in, and especially this is still so early. That's the most exciting thing about this space. Many of the projects are still so early, and I love it when I meet people like you and projects like these that actually, a lot of kudos have to be given to Axie Infinity. They were like the forerunners, right? They were the first.
Absolutely.
And people and projects like yours actually stood and saw, where the gaps are in what they were building. And for you guys, I feel it's especially on the tokenomics, especially on the DeFi element of it, making sure that is solid, making sure as much as you can basically to have a really sustainable growth economy model. That's almost how I would like to put it. Which is fantastic, because I think people are starting. We'll see more and more, but people are starting to get kind of irritated by the whole pump and dump model of it all, especially with the big guilds in the space right now, right? Because they're the guys that are actually profiting from this. Your average player, your average Joe, they might, unless they're very early, they might not see a lot from that pump and dump. They'll probably start coming in when the pump is starting to get over. That's when most new people will start to get in, and then that's when the guilds say, okay, cool, we've reached the point where we really want to sell now and take our bags and run. And it seems like with Crypto Fight Club, you guys have built in nice mechanisms to really stop this from happening at least at the severity we've seen with other games. So that's exciting for your average player and someone looking to invest into an NFT that with gameplay that they can actually enjoy, and also just a cool concept, fighters, MMA, Muay Thai, boxing. I mean, what's not to love, honestly?
I think the biggest takeaway that a lot of people are going to appreciate the most is options and the freedom of choice. This isn't just one set game, and we've been building this from the beginning. It is not one set game. It is ultimately like a metaverse arcade where we will develop multiple different games. We'll allow third-party developers to come in and build out different games. And throughout this process, people will have options. Chicken Run is not going to be here forever. You know, maybe when Fight the Bear is released, Chicken Run is gone until the metaverse is built out. So, and then when the third addition to the mini game models comes out, Fight the Bear is gone, and so on and so forth. Up until when the metaverse is developed, then you will be able to play all of these different games and treat it as, you know, a little open world arcade that then you can have these multiplayer functionalities and play with your friends and foes and, you know, whoever else. So options and being able to let people do what they want, that's the biggest takeaway that I think most people are going to respect. And not delaying, you know, like of course there are delays when building software and games. There always will be. It is inevitable. But like and especially we made the honest mistake of releasing things so fast, you know. Within 2 months, we released our NFT time deposits, where you can transfer time deposits similar to like savings accounts through NFTs. You know, you'd stake Fight and you could transfer that to somebody else if you don't want to end your stake and reap a penalty. Um, all built out in 2 months, and then we released Chicken Run not even a month later. And then because we released so many different things so fast, there's always that consumer market just want. When is the new coming out?
Yeah.
You know, and other people are taking their time or they don't want to rush their developments. But in this case, you know, it's a good problem because we can also rush it and also make sure that we provide quality assurance with the games that we've already provided and take feedback from the community.
Exactly. No, I'm excited. I'm also one of those guys. Unfortunately, I'm gonna be sitting here. When's the next? So I'm sorry to say, but I'll try to be understanding. I promise. I'll try my best.
We live in a consumer world, man. It's inevitable as well. You know, people in crypto have been wrecked far enough, and we're going into a bear market. Time to try to fight it, find a safe haven, and stake and chill.
Yeah.
You know, investments are not meant to go. They're not meant to just go like every 2 weeks. You know, time in the market, not timing the market.
Exactly. And what a better place to chill out than at Crypto Fight Club. Ashton, thanks for being on the air with me today. Thanks for answering some of my questions. Thanks for the audience. Thanks for everyone for watching. Make sure to leave a comment on the video that I've pinned in the chat here, where I explain Crypto Fight Club. I did a video explaining literally a quick 3-minute video, almost 4 minutes, what Crypto Fight Club is, what you need to know, and comment in there which one of the 5 Crypto Fight Club NFTs that I've minted you want to take home. I'll be giving away 5 of those, guys. Just watch my Twitter. I think about Monday, after this weekend is done, is when I'll release the names of the winners. But yeah, Ashton, thanks for having me. And one last question for the fans: has anyone ever told you look like Bradley Cooper?
Bradley Cooper. Yep.
Yeah. Have they?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
As we were chatting again, I was like, oh, okay. I thought Ashton was switched out. But yeah.
No, I got that a lot. I haven't heard that in maybe like a year or so, but before that, it was a nonstop. You know, more like Bradley Cooper looks like me.
Yeah. There we go. Okay. You heard it here first.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Cool. Okay. Thanks. Okay. Cheers, everyone. Signing off, and remember to go get some go get some crypto fighters. And if I don't see you again, have a fantastic day, everyone. Cheers.
Hey, everybody. Thanks.
Okay. I actually have to